Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Johnny Riley. I'm here to talk to Miss Tina Body today, and we're going to talk about some real issues that are impacting our community, and not only just this community, but also her. Miss Tina, I just want to thank you for agreeing to come on the show, and I've just watched you for quite some time throughout the community here, and I just want to ask you a very simple question. So tell us about Miss Tina Body.
Well, that's an intriguing question for me because I love myself, first of all. I am from Texarkana, Texas. I was born and raised here. Went to finish my high school education here. I raised my children partly here and then moved away, moved away after a difficult time, came back and finished raising them here. And the person that I have actually grown to be is the one that speaks to you today.
Okay.
I mean, and when I say that, I say it very sincerely because it's the girl that grew up in Texarkana and the one who traveled a little bit and came back home. And now, like you said, you saw some things here, some impacts that I've made. You know, that's who I am. You know, that's in a nutshell.
Okay. And you mentioned that you traveled, which means that there's some experiences outside of your current community that had a positive impact on you. Could you talk to us about those experiences?
Oh, very much so. Moved to Mississippi after marriage. Took me there, but love kept me there.
Okay.
Love for the state, love for what I saw. I went there knowing nothing about it, just, you know, driving in, I never forget seeing all of the rolling hills going through Yazoo City and thinking, God, this is beautiful. Then I hit what's called the Delta in Mississippi, where the land is very rich in spirit. However, it's a poor looking land. It's desert and very dry, and it appears to have a lot of poverty. But when I got there, in that place is where I became alive. Everything that I knew about who I was sure about it when I went to that place. It taught me how to have convictions, how to have beliefs, and it actually helped me derive to many of the philosophies that I live my life by, which is to make sure that everybody wins.
Oh, that's good. That's a good philosophy, to make sure everybody wins. When you talk about everyone winning, give us some details on specifically what do you mean by that?
Going into Mississippi, at first I was married to my past is I was married to a minister.
Okay.
And so going into the secular world, coming from the secular world, going into the religion, into the religious world, I saw that there was people in the secular world. When I say secular, I ran track. So everybody expected those champions to win, and you got pushed. In the religious world, everybody expected you to lose.
Wow.
When I got to Mississippi, it was real. In the religious world, it was the same. You saw a lot of defeat. I went there and began to work at a school, was blessed with by a lady named Margie Pooley. I love this lady. She's the superintendent of schools there. And she gave me an opportunity to get into education. At that time, I had left college and married, wasn't done. And she gave me an opportunity. I took it, walked into a school that the poverty rate was 95% of the kids lived under it.
Wow.
The economical system in that place, I want to say it was none because nobody had money. There was no economics to talk about. But I walked in, was given a challenge to change kids' lives. Number one, you have to understand I had not completed college. And I went in at first and I saw kids literally who had parents who were murderers.
Wow.
I actually will just skip into that story and say I taught two that murdered that year.
Wow.
And but in the middle of that story, me not knowing what to do, I was saying, you're going to take your head off in here because you're a winner. You're going to learn this curriculum. I did not have the certification, so I wasn't certified. But I learned that I was qualified to make champions because those kids responded to me in the academic world. That was the first time that I actually saw that what I was seeing separately, the track, the field, and that skill, that passion in me to win and the drive to win, that it worked everywhere.
And you brought up religion, and then you brought up the secular world, and you talked about how you were able to take your secular experience and bring that into the religious environment and created a situation where everyone wins, which is a shift in the mentality when it comes to many religious organizations, where there's a defeatist type of mentality more so than a winning type of mentality. So, and then you talked about the young people that you had an impact on. What made you select, and I know you mentioned this individual, but what made you select and agree to go into the classroom with, in some cases, some very difficult situation and some very difficult young people to control and manage? Talk to us about that.
I'll be honest with you. At first, I needed a job.
Yeah, I understand.
That was the first idea. I went to work. But in my working, and that's what I believe that people do. If you actually find yourself, I found purpose, and the drive behind it was I saw that there was an alternative to every challenge, to every circumstance. Now I was in education, okay, so I at the same time measured that fact and said, if there's an alternative here, and this is just the way I think, there's an alternative everywhere. So. I went in, and I not only that young, I had like in that class maybe 40 kids, all of them the same. Now, mind you, I reminded of a story of a young lady who, she always saw me in pants, and the first time she saw me in a dress, she pulled me aside. She said, "I thought you were sanctified." And I said, "What makes me not?" And she said, "Because you have on pants." And she was so in love with me because her parents had taught her that. And that was the one thing about she and I that she connected. She connected so strong. She didn't need me to teach her to do right, but the young man to my left did. She needed me to teach her something totally different. And so I hope you can understand connecting this guy who reminded me of my secular world, who needed the drive and the passion to win. This young lady needed to understand that she needed the drive to be open in that area of religion so that she could be like me one day and give people an alternative to winning. And I know that's a mouthful because I know people actually struggle with understanding how to be more impactful with the one life you have. And that's what I have learned. When I say I came back here with that, I believe that one tool that you get, that one tool, which I learned, I went there, I became an educator after that. You know that's what I do now. But I went into education, and education was not the tool that I took.
Well, thank you for your comments, and for our viewers, I just want to let them know that, hey, we'll be right back. Thank you.
Texarkana, Texas Housing Authority is leasing units at the following properties in the historic Rose Hill community. Rose Hill Ridge, 1201 Stuckey Street, 1, 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. First LEED Platinum property in Texas. Call 903-794-7673. Pecan Ridge, 2210 West 15th Street, 1 and 2 bedrooms. Call 903-255-0455. The Oaks, 2100 West 12th Street, 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. Call 903-255-0005. Renaissance Plaza, 1100 Dan Haskins Way, 55 years and older, 1 and 2 bedrooms. Call 903-831-7805. For leasing information for all properties, call Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Do you really want it? Do you really want it?
He hadn't played much, but I knew he had the heart of a champion.
Go, go, go!
All he needed was the opportunity.
And when you feel the heat, the world is at your feet. Reach for the top of life, 'cause your name is on there. Do you really want it? Ale, ale, ale. Go, go, go!
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk, and I'm here with Ms. Tina Body today, and we're talking about some real issues that are impacting the lives of individuals in our community. And Ms. Body, you mentioned about the young people, and your educational component and how you went into the classroom and didn't have all of the qualifications, and then also you saw where there was a passion and a drive there, where you want to make a difference in individuals' lives. Talk to me about this individual again. I hit on that the last segment, but what drove her, or did you ever have a conversation with her to talk with her about why did you select me out of the 8 billion people in the world, or the 1,500 that were in the community, or the 60,000 people? Why does she see fit to say, let's give Tina Body this opportunity, even though she doesn't have the piece of paper on the wall?
Yes, actually, I keep in very close touch. I was actually in Mississippi last weekend, and one of the things that I spoke with her, and I was telling her about some opportunities that I'd had happen with me recently, and she said something. She said, you know, when I met you, the first day I walked into the classroom, I saw you do what teachers that I had hired, worked with for 30 years was not doing. They had the exact same kids that you had on their rolls. I gave you a challenge and didn't give you equipment to work with. As a matter of fact, I had broken computers at the time that did not work, and my job was to get the kids test ready. And she said, you know, the component about you was, you know, the drive. Now, when she was telling me how driven I was, I couldn't see it. I couldn't explain it. I was like, driven? I'm just working hard. But then one day I realized that this wasn't work for me. It was me waking up in the morning, getting in my car, driving, saying, I have got to get to Johnny or Susie or whoever was going to be there, DeSandria, and make sure that today I condition their minds to where my heart is. Now, my heart for them was to make sure that they were successful and that they understood that there was an alternative to what they were seeing, experiencing, and what was already developing on the inside of them. It wasn't, you know, poverty had not yet developed completely with these kids. They were not yet.
Okay, so you said, and I want to quote you on this, that these are young people and poverty had not developed with them at this particular point. Talk to me about how can you come to that conclusion when we have so many other young people who find themselves in impoverished situations and they accept it as this is the fate, my fate?
The reason why I said it that way is because it hasn't developed because I didn't allow it.
Okay.
I didn't allow it to develop. And every kid that we meet, every young person that we meet, they are developing as beings. That's what we tell them. That's what we teach them. We actually tell them things like, you're not grown yet. You shouldn't be experiencing that yet. So if that's the case, these kids are still growing. They're still being fed. They're being taught, and things are still being explained. And they're actually still being transformed into what they're going to be. So it is our responsibility. You know, one of my favorite proverbs is the African Proverbs, it takes a village. So I strongly believe that we have to make a decision, and I did, to say, what's happening on the inside of this person that I see trying to develop. Let's see what's there. Now, mind you, they had seen images, they had ideas happen to them, and there was some darkness. But when I shined in the light, or when I gave them information and I saw their appetite change to start to eat what I was giving them, they came to class, they developed, they did whatever I said. They sat down when I said sit. They stood when I said, whenever I would say stand, they stood up. Whenever I said, you know, today, here's your challenge. And I actually saw these young people walk in the hall differently after leaving my class without me. So, you know, and when I say poverty, I'm not just talking about money. They were not, you know, they weren't as poor in spirit as everybody believed them to be. So the reason why I also can say that is because they had not yet met me. You know, I wouldn't have known that walking down that hall the first week, but today I can say that, and I can say it boldly that, you know, I teach a lot of kids and I meet their parents, and I think everybody needs to have the confidence to say, it's not developed, you know, yet because you haven't met me, especially if I am the one who's supposed to make the impact on your life. And that day and forever, I know that young person, many of them that I've taught in that class that day, I was the chosen one for them.
So you're the chosen one you're the individual who made an impact that not only is going to change that person, but also is going to change the generations that come behind them. So what I consider you to be is a change agent. And you're willing to take that challenge on where you're going to make an impact no matter what the situation is. And I think that's why you're successful. And if I'm not mistaken, you're the teacher of the year, right?
Yes, this year I was selected by my peers on the elementary campus first, and then you go on to compete in your district with the elementary campuses, and then again you're selected. And so I was for CK Bender first, and then for our district. And I think for me, you know, I completely appreciated the accolade. I can tell you though, when they gave it to me and I was receiving the award, I had to remind myself to smile, because I was honestly thinking about the next year, saying, you know what, if I'm teacher of the moment, teacher of the day, then I'll be teacher of the year again next year, whether they give the award or not. Because I really feel like, you know, and then for me, I just want to see people take teacher out of there. Be the person or the lawyer or the doctor or the dreamer or the whatever of the moment of the day of the year. And that's what you create when you're around those type of people.
And you said you stopped with teacher of the year, but you started with teacher of the moment, a doctor of the moment, a person of the moment. So you're saying that in order for people to be successful, in order for them to achieve these great awards, for instance, like you're the teacher of the year, you have to start with every single moment.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I feel like that's what had to happen. That's what I saw in that classroom. I didn't derive to the fact that I was going to have success with children at the end of the year. I saw it moment by moment. That's what made me get up the next day and go. And I think that's what's changed my life. Now, in my hard times, I saw, okay, if this girl changed. And you know what? I woke up some days when I didn't want to change in some difficult areas and said, guess what? You can change too. And so it wasn't me just changing them. They were helping to change me in areas that I felt that it may have been difficult to change.
So as a teacher, not only have you you've had an impact on the young people, also there's been an impact on you as a person, because you started, you say you moved from Texarkana to Mississippi. Once you were in Mississippi, you were given this opportunity, even though you didn't have the paper on the wall. And I want to emphasize that, because there may be individuals who are listening to us and they're saying, okay, well, I don't have the degree, I don't have the paper, I don't have the certification, but this thing called substitute teaching is an option for you to go in there and have an impact on individuals' lives. And I say that you did not allow that opportunity, I won't call it a challenge, that opportunity, because you didn't have the paper, to hinder you from moving forward to be successful as you are today. Anything else you want to share about the Teacher of the Year?
Wow. First of all, for all of my students that are listening, their parents, I love them so much, because actually you don't understand what you do for children, and they don't understand what they do for you.
And let's stop right there. She said, you don't understand what you do for children, and also we don't understand what the children do for us. We're going to take a break and we're going to come back.
Grew up in a small town, and when the rain would fall down, I'd just stare out my window, dreaming of what could be, and if I'd end up happy, I would pray I could break away. I'll spread my wings and I'll learn how to fly. I'll do what it takes till I touch the sky, and I'll make a wish, take a chance, make a change, and break away. Out of the darkness and into the sun, I won't forget all the ones that I love. I gotta take a risk, take a chance, make a change, and break
Thank you for staying with us, and we're continuing to talk to Ms. Tina Body about the Teacher of the Year. And so, Ms. Body, you were sharing with us before the break about the Teacher of the Year and what that means. So talk to us about that.
It has been actually at first I didn't realize how impactful it was. But like I said, you don't have any idea what the impact that young people have on you, but you have to let them. And the impact that they had on me is that this summer, I've worked every summer since I've been working in education. I generally work with kids over the summer, except this summer. I actually took off because I was like, I have to go back so fresh this year and so ready to make a stronger difference in each child that I see live. I actually, with the idea that this city has to have me first, because I live here and I feel like I should bloom where you're planted. I believe that. But then there's something across this state, there's something across this nation that is begging, not just for the educator, though. Because with me, I'm actually an exhorter, who educates. So for the most part, before I teach an adjective or a noun, I encourage my kids to the point they feel like they are an adjective, even if they have not read the definition. They feel like I can conquer this adjective before we get there. They're like, what's a noun? It's not going to be hard. I don't care what it is, because before we get there, I have sang something about it, or told them a story about it, or just said, you simply, guess what? You're going to get this done today because I'm with you. And if I'm not with you, guess who's with you? You're with you. And so, the chants that we've done, I've written personally, every year I write something for my class. I try to really pray about it, and I really, after I meet them, I write something that we will recite every single day. I allow my kids to give quotes every day. I give them something, I'll give them a theme or a topic and say, hey, there's a little girl that I read about the other day and she's suffering. She was abused. What do you think about that? And some kid, and while we're walking out that door, we'll say a quote, I'll write it on the board, and that's what we live by. We start to trust in it and believe in it. And it's just that time where you understand that you have to take the exhorter, that's who I am, use that skill to be the educator. And then there's that coach, because I coached track for a while, I coached basketball for a while.